Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
With Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, 1agent_7 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings, live and direct. Here we go. Pick a good one.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
I know spontaneity is key, but I figured you would have a couple of those you'd want to do at some point. But what's I gonna say? Oh, hey, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because it helps people find us.
Indeed. And I guess speaking of finding us, by the time you hear this on the audio version, you might have 2 back-to-back shows because the network's been on vacation. So enjoy that, I guess.
But we appreciate everyone who's watching and listening to us live.
Absolutely, and you can find us live mostly every Thursday night, 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time recording on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
And 1 second, because I've got a phone call coming in, and some good stuff just happened. So anyway,
yes, folks, for those of you sports inclined, you already know what that is. For the rest of you, like myself, don't really give a fuck. But hey, hockey, I guess I'm assuming the team that Agent 70 is rooting for has won.
Let's go Rangers.
What's up, Sarayu? How you doing? It's been a long time. In the chat, shout out to you and yours. Good, always good to see you as we start this up. So as we start up, as I said, are going to start with actually talking about X-Men 97's episode from this week, which was called Tolerance is Extinction Part 2.
Yes, and we spoke about this episode last week, knowing that Beau DeMayo, that's his name, right?
That is. Mm-hmm.
Beau DeMayo, the now former, possibly soon-to-be returning showrunner of X-Men 97. We'll see how that all works out.
Wait, has that been confirmed?
No. But because that's been petitioned for by the fandom, right? So you never know, right? There's nothing confirmed. I just said that because you never know, given that this show has garnered a lot of positive feedback and word of mouth. The powers that be at Marvel might may think twice about what happened and maybe change their mind. So, but in any event,
to which we still don't know what happened. So,
what's that?
I said, to which we still don't know what happened that caused the departing or the firing.
So ultimately, since DeMayo gave us some homework and gave us a hint, and Roddykat and I only had to do the slightest look just to remind myself what this particular event what happened at this particular event, all I needed to do was look at the covers. I was like, I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And once the previous episodes events kind of filled in some of the gaps in the adaptation, I knew what was going to happen in this episode. And Roddykat was very kind. He says it wasn't really spoiling it, but you know, we were just having a conversation today about wanting to learn about things on our own time as opposed to having them told to us.
Right.
Be that as it may, it was still, I think, a good adaptation of several events and storylines. And that's been, you know, what I've always struggled with when it came to this X-Men cartoon from its earliest incarnation on the Fox network to this incarnation, where I keep thinking, this is not how it happened. This is not how it happened. And then I have to remember, oh, it's an amalgamation of all the things that happened. And so that's the form of the adaptation. That's the form the adaptation has taken. And that's the part that I just have to keep, you know, figuring out how to deal with. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Right. And in that, it was yeah, the homework was one thing I didn't get around to doing doing all of the homework, but I partially didn't have to because of Agent 70 mentioning, you know, what was the big deal and why we ended up knowing that the homework was important. Which actually, by the way, he also made I think he said this was extra credit homework for this last episode coming up. But it's one that's quite interesting to me, and probably not a surprise now that I think about it, because what he said was the TNG episode Cause and Effect was a little bit of extra credit homework.
Really?
Yes. Oh, I think he said extra credit, but he definitely did say homework.
That's interesting.
It is, especially when you know what that episode is about, which, as I said last week when I was talking about the Star Trek book that we were talking about, you can't do a Star Trek can't do too much Star Trek without there being some time loop episodes or whatnot, and that is indeed one of them. I think it's a kind of a big one now that I think about it. Which kind of had me thinking, I was like, well, maybe some of the part of the theory that I had about what's going on is going to bear out, or he could be going in a separate, different way. Because, like I say, if I remember correctly about that episode, a couple of things happened. So we shall see. But nevertheless, like I said, we don't want to spoil the episode for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. But I will say that it was still a good episode. There was some references and things, Easter eggs, what have you, that kind of warmed my heart. You know, we saw some folks in some classic gear. We definitely saw a big thing from the homework from last week that we were given from last week that happened at the end of the episode. From what I saw of it, and from what I saw from images going around, almost page perfect. Like, there was even some dialogue that happened, even though it was a different character saying some dialogue from that comic book story, but it was there. So they clearly did their homework in doing this season, in this episode, and much less this season of X-Men 97. So, and I'm hoping that continues on into we know to be the second season and beyond. You know, with hopefully a bigger episode count. I would really love for them to have a bigger episode count, along with their animation budget, because it's been pretty great so far. Like I said, there's not much I want to say about anything particular that happens in it with that would probably give away things, but I enjoyed it. I was just sitting there like, okay, I know a certain thing's gonna happen. Just go ahead and get it out of the way so I can keep pushing. But also, it was kind of like, wait, you saw a couple of things being slightly telegraphed. So it was like, okay, y'all loading around on the shot way too well. There you go. And then things. So I enjoyed it. I hope y'all did too. Age of 70. I don't know if you have anything else in passing before we move on.
No, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, my inability, be it for good and for ill, to kind of separate out how I remember things happening in the comics and dealing with the inevitable adaptation. Obviously it hinders my enjoyment of it. What I didn't realize is that, and I did not yet go back, but my understanding is that the comic book origin of Bastion is different than what they portrayed in the animated series. So I'm just like, oh, well, I guess this is how everyone's gonna know, how Bastion comes to be.
Right. Which, just like within the MCU, you got to play with what you got handy on you. Even though, realistically, if they had, I'm sure maybe if they had a couple of episodes or a couple more episodes, they probably could have made it a little bit closer to the comic book. But it seems like it has the feel of it, as much as it was going to with what they had to work with,
Right.
So, especially from, I guess, from that part of the character that's technically wasn't established in the original series. So, well, I mean, part of which was, but yeah, we'll say it, leave it at that. So,
right. All right.
That being the case, though, we got the finale of the season coming up next week, and I believe it is. But we've already established it's supposed to be a longer actually,
episode.
I'm not sure. Maybe I might be thinking. No, I might be thinking of Bad Batch. I don't know if that's true or not. So let me.
I will pull it up to see. Oh, I don't know if they have any details of the episode yet on the Plus.
I don't think so. Well, no, they don't, because I just checked earlier.
Gotcha.
When I was looking up the thing. So, but I would check like IMDb, even though that's not going to give me that much more in the way of what we already know. So, regardless, the finale of the season is coming up, and we do know that, and we already know they're getting a second season, so we're already there, and this one definitely leaves us with some stuff to go on. So,
right.
But with that, I am going to very briefly talk about Tales of the Empire. I had a chance to watch that, and Agent 70 did not. So I will spare him. Actually, there's really not much to spare. It is pretty much in the a similar vein as the Tales of the Jedi short that came out a few years ago, but this is actually, if you've seen the trailer, you pretty much already know what it's about. It's two separate tales. One having to deal with Morgan Elsbeth. It's if you've been keeping up with the Star Wars stuff, rolled up in Ahsoka and whatnot, and I think in the Mandalorian also, but also tying up a loose end with our Clone Wars character Barriss Offee.
Mm-hmm.
So. And out of the two, one kind of left you where you figured it was going to, and the other one, admittedly for me, well, I guess I'm curious because they could do some more of those the way it ended, or at least the way the last episode ended, but I don't know if it will. That is the curiosity that I have. But as far as that part of the story with the last person that I talked about, I was kind of curious because it went a way that I didn't expect. Because you figured they were just going to go headlong one way, and it didn't. And like I said, not to spoil anything, but it was kind of a surprise in a way, but in another way, not a surprise. But like I said, if they do end up doing anything more from the Tales of the Empire stuff, then I guess we will find out at some point. But at this point, this seems to be all it is. Like they're all short. You can hit all 6 of those episodes in probably a good couple of hours. Like most of them are like 15 minutes.
Sure.
So, but it was good stuff though. So I will say that if you get a chance to check them out, you definitely should. If you are a Star Wars fan, I should say. And with that, we are going to push over into the books of the week, starting off with Excuse me. Fantastic Four number 20.
Fantastic Four number 20 is written by Ryan North, with art by Carlos Gomez, colors by Jesus Bertov, and Fer Cifuentes Sujo, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, the hardest working letterer over at Virtual Calligraphy, VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is a very interesting kind of one-off story for the FF in the midst of everything that's going on in the Marvel universe, which is something we're going to touch upon very soon. But with Krakoa, with the fall of X going on, the fall of Krakoa going on, with Blood Hunt, about to hit full swing, the FF have this kind of standalone issue that involves Ben and Johnny doing something so simple, so mundane, that you just don't imagine the FF having to do it. But because of the predicament that Ryan North has put them in, these two particular characters find themselves looking for something to do that earns money. With that, I will hand it off to Roddykat, because I'm sure he's going to detail some of the hijinks they get into, but that premise that they have to do something normal that earns money is where this all starts.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but all I am going to say that this was a very good issue, I thought, for what was going on here. And Agent 70 kind of hit it on the head. It's like, yeah, you would expect these world-spanning heroes to, this would be above them. I mean, beneath them. But no, they got to do what they got to do. And, the things that kind of, or at least two of them, while the others are kind of just chilling at home, or doing whatever. I suspect we'll get into that. After Blood Hunt, we don't know. But regardless, I thought that the last issue of Fantastic Four went directly into Blood Hunt, and it did not. And I don't know what made me think that it did. But this was a continually refreshing issue, I would say. The whole Ben and Johnny dynamic has always been, it seems like on the surface adversarial, but they're really just like brothers. They fight like brothers, and it shows in this issue, as much as they ever have during their whole history. And you find them, if you're watching the video version, you can see the kind of the partial of what they get into, because they had one job and then that didn't happen, and then the job they get into, they end up competing with each other, as they tend to do, and it becomes a thing that is quite interesting to me to read anyway, especially what happens during the course of them trying to compete with each other. So
right. What I was going to add very quickly before we moved on is that I don't know if I'm just getting a little too old for this shit, but like seeing and reading Johnny be such an extreme himbo, right, is a little weird to me. But I know this has been a trend over the last several runs of FF. Like they've really stressed that, to a certain extent. And obviously he's always had that element in his character, right, but it just seems like it's a little extra, just like everything's a little extra nowadays.
Right. It's, well, so,
I mean, I just wanted to add that.
No, you got a good point there, because like Johnny has always been the youngest of the group, and he's always been the one that kind of acted as much, and he still kind of does, which is why, when you say what you say, it makes a whole lot of sense, because yeah, a part of that is because of he's always been that, and them playing it up to the extent that they have just kind of shines more of a light on it than not. It's a little annoying at times, but at the same time, like they still let you know there's not, Johnny's still got more underneath his surface than what is on the surface,
Right. I just felt like, especially with the, believe it or not, Ben and Johnny go through multiple gigs in this issue. And the first gig, I was like, wait, what? He's never been that fine, you know?
Oh, wait, no, they only did 2. Unless I missed something.
No, 2, but like I said, multiple gigs, more than just one.
Sure. But yeah, actually you mentioned that first gig, and it's like, yeah, everything that the way he's playing himself right there pretty much seems like him in his younger days, but it's just still there. Like just being the young hothead and just like, all right, I'm bored, I need something to do, and this and that. Like, no, but it's still there. So
right.
And it's still funny. That being said, though, yeah, Fantastic Four is pretty good. It's a potential click of the week for myself, I will say. And we are going to move on to another. Well, this is just generally a good book for me personally, but that should not be a surprise to anyone who's been keeping track of this program. But surprisingly enough, 1870s caught up with this. Transformers number 8.
Finally! I feel like The Rock. Finally! I've caught up to the Image Transformers book. Not to G.I. Joe, not to any of the other spinoffs, but just to Transformers.
Yeah, that's okay. You still got some time on that one.
Right. Issue number 8 is written by Daniel Lauren Johnson, with art by Jorge Corona, colors by Mike Spicer, and letters by Russ Wooten. And yeah, I basically burned through the entire 8-issue run of this iteration of Transformers tonight, just prior to the show. So I have a general overall feeling about this series, which definitely tracks with something that Roddykat said, in that, you don't necessarily feel like any character is safe. It's very much Walking Dead like that. Also, it's an adaptation of what we know, especially from the G1 era of the cartoon and even the comic books in Marvel. So we have adaptations of characters here, almost modernization for some of the characters. And we have them put together into, kind of an eclectic mix. And we're seeing characters kind of pop up out of canon, out of the order that we normally encounter them in the original canon. So that's a little bit, it changes how you think of how the story might go, but that's the best part, is that it's completely turned any expectations I had on its head. So in this issue, we get to where and this is a minor spoiler, but only if you go back to the original Transformers miniseries / ongoing series at Marvel, kind of back to where issue number 5 starts. And Roddykat doesn't necessarily go back that far, but yeah,
I do, but
issue 5.
I'm just
issue 4, issue 5. That's kind of where we are,
right?
In terms of who shows up.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. I'm with you now. I was like, where are you going with this? Okay, I'm with you. No.
In terms of who shows up, you're approximately around issue 4 or 5.
Right. Was that early? I thought it was a little later than that.
No.
Because I see the cover right now.
Exactly. It's issue 5, I think.
All right. Yeah.
Because I collected the comic as a kid.
I mean, so did
and I had issues 2. I had issue 1. I was only able to track down in the store when I was a kid, issue 2. But I ended up with issue 1 much later on in life when I bought it for like, I think $2 or $3.
Right.
And it's worth a lot more now. So I definitely bought low on that one.
Right. But I mean, hey, you're talking to the Transformers fan over here, so I had them.
I definitely had issue 2 because it had Spidey on the cover.
Yeah. Yep. You just reminded me. I still got to show you the stuff in the garage.
There it is. But anyway, I'll let Roddykat go on with his thoughts on this issue. But I am caught up, and without going too deeply into what happens in this issue, I can tell you that I'm enjoying the slightly altered take and the updated kind of feel to this series, because as I said, there's a bit of Walking Dead in there. Like you can't necessarily trust that your favorites are going to make it out of each issue.
Yeah, and I would say, I guess that's not surprising given that the label that it's on and who's running it. But you
Right.
know,
Right.
whether that was whether that was a thing that they had in their mind to do, it is.
And what's funny, the Marvel series kind of went in that direction, but not often.
Yeah, they still kind of played it kind of safe and like the cartoon.
Right, because the hero characters generally stayed alive, but obviously in the interest of new toys, they found ways to introduce people and kind of push other people to the side.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll hand it off to Roddykat with that.
Speaking of which, I will be talking about the Energon Universe free comic book day stuff too, because there's probably a slight beat that could be taken that doesn't necessarily go into this week's Transformers, but probably will in the future, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say too much, but as I told Agent 70 in the past, and I've told people on here, like, yeah, the Transformers book are not long reads or hard reads, so you can kind of breeze through them. It's the visual part, as Agent 70 can attest to, will strike you one way or another, but still, works with what they're doing. And now that Daniel Warren Johnson is not doing the art anymore, it's a little I guess the word's probably clean. That doesn't seem fair, but doing art and doing it right at the same time is not easy. It can't be easy. But it basically frees him up for the writing, and and have it, as Agent 70 said prior to the show, the art style was not that is not that starkly different to where you kind of push against it, so which was a good thing. So that being said, yeah, after everything that's been going on, we're kind of at a point where, hey, there's a couple of things going on. There's some stuff going on Cybertron, with a couple of the characters, which I'm still not entirely sure whom one of the characters is, because we don't necessarily get to see them in their full form, but I think I have an idea of who it is because they've been brought up. And then this, of course, the Surfer on Earth, which is, at this point, kind of have a couple of things going on. The Decepticons kind of got their thing going on with Soundwave now in command. And where's Megatron? Well, you're about to find out quite soon. Well, if you hadn't found out by now, you're about to find out.
Let's just say where the rest of him is, because we know where one part of him is.
Oh, no. We do find out where the rest of him is if you read the free comic book day stuff.
Right. I mean, I know that they hint at where the rest of him is. But right. I think that's one thing you need to say, that's kind of spoilerish, which is we do know where a certain part of Megatron is currently residing.
True, because it's yeah, right. And even if you've seen the covers to the Transformers issue, yes, you definitely get that. But let's just say there's a couple of things that are getting aired out in this particular issue. Someone takes someone under their wing. There's going to be, Prime's kind of in his fields, but also, hey, we got this thing we're going to do because enough is enough type situation. But I'm sure that's not going to lead to a good place, knowing what we know from the other side of that.
Right. And Prime is actually having a very interesting subplot because of something that happens that basically re-energizes them. And because of that, it's an interesting that I thought that was one of the more interesting changes to our understanding of how that works, how the Transformers themselves work. So I appreciated that as like a new twist.
Right. Yeah. And to what end, that's going to, I mean, for I guess that particular part, that probably is, but I feel like there's probably going to be more to it since they keep bringing it up.
Right.
And in addition to someone else they keep bringing up. That being said, though, yeah, like I said, Soundwave is in charge of the Decepticons for now, and he's got his own plan going on. And this is a Soundwave. I love Soundwave. I've always loved Soundwave, and this is kind of him being more than second fiddle that we've always seen him as, whether in
or third fiddle.
Well, yeah, but
third fiddle.
Well, yeah, but Starscream, was always on his own thing. That's why I don't count him in that. But uh, in the cartoons and in the book, it was like, hey, we don't get to see this side of Soundwave that often. Oh, maybe we actually, now that I think about it, we probably did a little bit in the original Marvel run, but not that often. Regardless, we get to see a little bit more of that, and it was like, all right, how long this is gonna last? Probably not that much longer with what I believe to be coming up. But yeah, some good stuff. We got a couple of more. Well, we got a re-entry, and we got a new player into the game who is known on the one side, and there seemed to be a lot of there's an overarching theme on the Decepticon side of, hey, somebody's got some beef with somebody. And that has been apparent this whole time. So there's going to be a lot of that getting dealt with as well. But like I said, not to go too much farther than that, because like I said, I don't want to get into the spoilers. But Transformers, to me, continues to be a good book, and I hope it continues to stay that way, because yeah, outside of subverting what we know as a fan of the original cartoon and the comic books, this has been good stuff so far, because they could have done so much worse. And realistically, some of the that's not bad. Those the last couple of volumes of Transformers actually been all right. Just wasn't sure where they were going with part of it. So that being the case, we're going to move on to the next book that we were talking about, and that is I believe we are getting into the Blood Hunt stuff. Yep, with Amazing Spider-Man number 49.
Amazing Spider-Man number 49 is written by Zeb Wells, with pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz, and letters again by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So it's interesting that Roddykat mentioned something to me earlier about how he read this issue, because he read it in quick succession, catching up with the most recent issues, and it does tie into Blood Hunt, and then goes right into another spin-off Blood Hunt tie-in for Spider-Man. But the obvious reason is that the next issue is number 50. So they're not going to step all over issue number 50.
Sure, I get that.
Right. So that makes some sense. But in any event, we have Spidey doing his best to help out New York in the midst of the opening salvo of the Blood Hunt event. And he's called, and someone calls him for help, and it's an unexpected call. And it turns out that it's someone he's definitely not expecting it. I said unexpected, but when I say definitely, that's an understatement. And we get into a little bit of, I was a little confused, because one character bites another character and then seems to revert, but I think maybe that's just a trick of the art. Right? It seems to revert back from being a vampire, but that might have been just my eyes and looking at John Romita Jr.'s art and how it was particularly done in this particular panel. But in any event, that's essentially what happens in this issue, is that it's Spidey dealing with the vampire attack, and then dealing with a specific character that's in Spidey's orbit that gets affected.
Right. Which, as an issue in itself, was not a bad one, I will say. But at the same time, I still am like, okay, so yeah, we know Spidey was going to be a part of Blood Hunt. We already got the Blood Hunt issue coming. And yeah, I get the whole 50 thing, but I feel like they still could have, like, well, we knew, I don't know. It's just me being an old man about this, I guess. And knowing that they, like, sometimes they just throw in extra issues just for extra sake. But like, this either could have been that Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt number 1 and just kind of kept going from there, But also, as Agent 70 said, like, yeah, I guess they wanted something to fill in, but because they didn't want to go straight into 50 because they had plans for that. I get that part. So, I don't know. Right. Just me being an old man about it. Regardless, that's that. We're gonna go into the next book, which is continuing on the Blood Hunt train, Avengers number 14.
Avengers number 14 is written by Jed MacKay with art by C.F. Villa, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So in our pre-production meeting, I was joking with Roddykat in that it seems like it's a little bit of MCUification and a little bit of steering clear of J. Michael Straczynski's stories and Cap, that they've kept Steve Rogers Cap off of the main Avengers roster and have put Sam Wilson Cap on the main Avengers roster. By doing so, you have the ability to have Steve Rogers Cap step in and form another Avengers team to deal to a supplemental Avengers team to deal with the vampire attack. You know, some characters have called it the end of the world in some books, but the vampire attack, the Endless Night vampire attack in Blood Hunt. And it's an interesting group of, and I think Cap actually goes through the entire roster's former affiliations: Avengers, West Coast Avengers, Avengers Academy, and was there something else?
Noticeably and thankfully absent the Great Lakes Avengers.
That's right. But he went through all of the various organizations and Avengers spin-offs that these characters had been a part of. Right. But in this issue, he makes them all Avengers. And it's a lot of fun to see them all interact. I particularly liked Hazmat and the way Jed MacKay wrote her, because she's the most junior of them all. Even with Kate Bishop being around. Oh, Young Avengers. That's what the other group was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
because Kate Bishop.
Right.
Because Kate Bishop. So I kind of liked how MacKay wrote Hazmat, answering when Cap says sound off. She says, like, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
Right. So yeah, and most of those people. So there are parts of that which I'm not going to go all the way into, because like the whole Avengers history kind of, unofficial groups, this and that and other. Most folks would call Young Avengers an unofficial group because of, how they came about, and they were never really officially sanctioned. So, and even though Kate Bishop was the head of a West Coast Avengers one, I don't know if that version was even official, if depending on who you are. But regardless, the whole them pulling that all together, and I would assume most of them, like Hercules, was on the reserve roster anyway, so that's why they still had their things. Now, the part about the whole initiative folks having an Avengers badge, I'm like, wait, having a Avengers idea, I'm like, I don't remember that being the thing. But for the story, they had to do something, I guess. But like Agent 70, I liked it too. At first I was like, who the hell is Hazmat? And then when he said the initiative thing, I was like, all right, that's because that was part of the time where I was barely reading anything, much less that whole Avengers Initiative thing. So, and I feel like I've seen that character pop up a couple of times, but I still didn't know.
In Captain Marvel, she's been hanging out with Carol. Like,
so when they said that, I don't remember that because I haven't been reading a lot of.
It's very recent. Marvel. Yeah, it's very recent. Over the last several runs of several volumes of Captain Marvel, Hazmat has played a role.
Gotcha. See, yeah, I haven't been reading the last. I know you have, but I have not. So that's why I was like, okay, she hung out with Carol, but I don't remember that because I wasn't reading that stuff like that. So, or at least not fully anyway. I think I probably got the first volume. Regardless, it doesn't matter. This is still a pretty decent story, and of course, you got Quicksilver in there just for him being him.
Sure.
And of course, it's Blood Hunt. So it's all of that in there, and Jed MacKay's writing it. So you kind of got to throw some stuff in there.
There's one thing I wanted to mention. There's a little bit of internal monologue that each character goes through.
Yes, I like that.
And the internal monologue of Steve Rogers in this issue, I thought was so on point.
Mm-hmm.
Because he talks about being a superhero, even though he's not super, right? He's more super than you or I, but he's not super like Hercules, right?
But he's much more of a soldier,
right? And no, it's not much more. He's a superhero that's also a soldier.
Right.
And he kind of goes in between the two mindsets. And I thought that particular, it's all just one page, but it's a bunch of thought balloons. They're not thought balloons, but it's inner monologue boxes. Right. And I really liked that particular process that we went through of listening to Cap's inner thoughts while he is both superhero and soldier.
Right.
That's probably the best. That's probably the best way of describing, how Cap goes about it, because we've gotten this particular question posed to someone like Superman, because they ask him, it's not uncommon to find someone who asks Superman, why can't you save everybody? Right. But obviously it's a little different for someone like Cap, because he's just he's peak human, a little bit more than peak human. It's he's not Superman, but it's still interesting to see Cap kind of process that and parse that out into his dual roles.
Right. Yeah, he's just Superman.
Yeah.
But just a couple of little things here. There was a reference to Catwolf, which I don't know if he was referencing. I assume he was referencing like classic Catwolf and not that last Catwolf story that came out like a few months ago. Even though it's still related because of Catwolf, regardless. Of course, there was a Fastball special, which is like the second time this week that I've come across one that had nothing to do with mutants. So that's kind of funny. To me, and of course Nazi vampires. So when you have Nazi vampires, I feel like if you have enough Marvel knowledge underneath you, you kind of know what or who's coming. There you go. And with that, we get to, I think, the last book that we are going to talk about in common, which is also Blood Hunt in the form of Doctor Strange number 15.
Doctor Strange number 15 is written by Jed MacKay. Didn't we just say Jed MacKay?
Mm-hmm.
This book is also written by Jed MacKay, with art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Heather Moore, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. Now, what's really interesting about how this book starts is that it's basically fresh off of the ending of Blood Hunt number 1. And so if you had not read Blood Hunt number 1, you're kind of lost coming into this issue. But if you have read Blood Hunt number 1, coming into this issue, you are chomping at the bit to see what's going on, see how, right, no pun intended, chomping at the bit. You're itching to see what's about to happen. And you see some of the plots and some of the countermeasures that and counterattacks that have been planned in both camps, the vampire camp and the superhero camp, and see how those particular things play out in this issue. And I really like this issue for that particular purpose. It seems like at least this issue of Doctor Strange is very important to the overall Blood Hunt story. And for that, I give it, it's definitely a candidate for Kliq of the Week for me.
Right, which makes sense because it's Jed MacKay, who is also, writing the whole of, who's, shouldering it's Blood Hunt is his baby. So of course, he's going to put the important stuff in his book that he's also writing. So it makes total sense when there. Yeah, as I said in my notes, in case you forgot what happened at the end of Blood Hunt, it continues here. So kind of similar to what Agent 70 just said. And at the end of Blood Hunt, as well as this, we find out who's behind, or seemingly behind the whole Blood Hunt thing. As I told Agent 70 prior to the show, I am not convinced that it is that person.
It's a scroll.
And that's what he said. So I'm like, you know what? That would be funny. If anything else, I was like, no, we're not going back to that again, I hope. But
it's always a damn dirty scroll.
It used to be always a damn dirty scroll, but they have since gone away from that. That's why I said, so if they actually went back to that, that would be That would be amazing, in a certain way. So
some funny stuff for real.
Yeah. But that being the case, yeah, Agent 70 pretty much said it like, yeah, you kind of see some of the machinations going on here, between this and the Avengers book, which of course, Jed McKay is also writing, or at least last issue of the Avengers, more specifically, and not this particular issue, but and yeah, everything seems to be going pretty, I guess, on point so far as what we deemed to be, because basically the person behind this, who I will continue to not name this week, but given the baddies, you kind of who would be involved, and if you've been keeping up, you already know who's involved in it. It seems that they have a larger hand in it than what we know them to be. But again, I'm not convinced of I'm not convinced that that's just it in this situation. So, but we'll see, where that goes, because there's always a swerve in situations like this, and I'm sure this one is no different. Just a matter of seeing when and where and what. I don't know if we're gonna have a Hydro Cap situation though, but but I suspect something is going to be the case. And that is it for the books that we have in common. Before we get into rapid fire with Agent 70's stuff, oh Lord, shout out to Von Gloom who has joined us in the chat. He says they made a certain Transformer a threat. He was a joke in the cartoon. I'm not going to name him now because somebody's probably reading it. And he mentions Hazmat with Avengers Academy, which I told him I wasn't reading that stuff. So and then he says BBL Drizzy is the mastermind. I'm like, you stupid for that one. But folks, we are now going to go into the rapid fire.
All right, let me spin that up. Rapid fire review time.
Ain't got time to breathe.
All righty, first up is Captain America #9. It's written by J. Michael Straczynski, with art by Jesus Saiz, colors by Matt Hollingsworth, and letters, again, by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So we are coming off of the story arc that puts Cap in a very supernatural battle. And this is the follow-up story, which is Cap's kind of first foray into this, being not being an avatar, but I guess being a person that's being put to work on behalf of the light against the dark, as it were. I'm using very general terms here, but we have Cap looking to gather, very much like a group of Avengers, looking to put a band together, as it were, of these change makers that Cap himself is a type of character. And so we are introduced to a character here that has a very familiar name. It's the same. It's a twist. It's the silliest twist on the name of a character from Generation X. So if you're familiar with Generation X, go through the list of characters that came out of Generation X. It's not Sync. You're able to figure out the name of this particular character. And I think the best part of this is that there's some very subtle in-jokes that Straczynski writes. There's some very subtle things that are brought full circle from the beginning of this issue or from the middle of this issue at the end of the issue. And I really liked that. It's a very effective writing technique because it keeps you engaged from the very first part of the issue to the last panel. Next up is Captain Marvel #8. It's written by Alyssa Wong, with pencils by Ruairi Coleman, with inks by Ruairi Coleman and Roberto Poggi, colors by Brian Valenza, and letters by VC's Ariana Mar. Carol and the Marvel family, Marvel's version of the Marvel family. It's not Billy Batson and all of the other foster kids, but rather it's Phyla-Vell and a bunch of other Marvel related people. So this character that has been created to be, I guess, the big bad of this particular arc, this arc of Captain Marvel, the Undone. It's a big cosmic energy eater, and we still don't know what the Undone's story is. Bottom line, though, it's all very much connected to the history of the Marvels, as it were, and so we'll see how this all plays out. I like seeing some of these characters get some shine. Like Janice Vell is back, kind of. We kind of see a little bit of the other Marvel characters, but ultimately, we have this one character. What is her name? I've got to look it up, and I apologize, folks. Yuna, the character that's introduced in this first arc, that at least temporarily was occupying the same Captain Marvel and Rick Jones relationship, that occupying the Rick Jones half of the Captain Marvel Rick Jones relationship. That is no longer the case, but we'll see how long that lasts. I'm enjoying this. It's still a little tough to keep track of, but I like where it's going. I like that there are a lot of characters in here that I don't necessarily follow all the time, so it's nice to catch up with them. Next is Daredevil number 9. It's written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Juan Cabal, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. Some big things happen in this issue. We just had Daredevil number 8 maybe 2 weeks ago, and that was like a big anniversary-sized issue. In this issue, though, some big things happen. Namely, Reverend Matthew Murdock comes clean himself. He doesn't have people confessing to him. It's rather him confessing to other people. And I'll leave it to the people who want to read this to find out who he's confessing to. Ultimately, though, I definitely like that Saladin Ahmed is making us think. It's not just that people are going backwards, right? And when I say people, I mean characters kind of regressing, and we're starting to see maybe there's a reason for it. So I really enjoy the direction that Ahmed's taking with Daredevil. It's folding in lots of the stuff that has happened in Daredevil over the last several arcs, several years of books, going back even beyond the Zdarsky run, which is long. Ultimately, though, this is a little bit of a good issue to jump in on, because there's a lot of, not even exposition, but recap. There's one page that definitely recaps a lot of what has happened in the pages of the fall of X, and even towards the end of the Krakoan era with regards to the Kingpin. And obviously that's always going to be a character that shows his head in Daredevil comics, and that is exactly what the case is now. And finally, there is a great kind of splash page, cliffhanger page at the end of this book. So I give Saladin Ahmed and Juan Cabal and the whole team a lot of credit on this issue. Next up is, and I think last up for me, is Dracula Blood Hunt number 1. It's written by Danny Lore with art by Vincenzo Caratu, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. The reason why I picked this up, and the crux of this issue, is for everyone to understand that Vlad Dracula, or at least the Marvel version of Vlad Dracula, is not behind, or at least doesn't seem to be behind, this whole blood hunt stuff, and seems to be fighting, if not on the side of the angels, at least against whomever is behind this blood hunt stuff. And with blood hunt, kind of popping off, as it were, without Dracula at the helm, we find that Dracula is looking for a certain character who is kind of foreign to me. I know that Roddykat has been keeping up with her. It is, in fact, the daughter of Blade Bloodline. And it is Dracula looking for the aid of, to enlist the aid of Bloodline in this issue. That seems to be the crux of the miniseries, of this Dracula Blood Hunt miniseries. And that's it for me.
Yeah, there will be a reference again to the which I might say, and I'll just mention after we get through all of this. But yeah, the Free Comic Book Day book, which was what Bloodhound and X-Men, is where we see Dracula approach Brielle, aka Bloodline, with this. Shout out to Danny Lore. She's one of my favorite follows, but or they are, excuse me, one of my favorite follows, not she. So my apologies. But yeah, and I haven't had a chance to read this book yet because I was trying to follow the checklist order, and that's what I get for trying to do that. So I only have a couple of books of my own, and a couple of them are actually Free Comic Book Day books. So Birds of Prey #9 is my next book, which is written by Kelly Thompson, art by Jonathan Case and Gavin Goudry, and I also get the comments in a little bit also. Jordy Belair is doing the colors, and letters by Clayton Cowles. This is another potential click of the week for me, because this book continues to be pretty fun. But you know, hey, it's Kelly Thompson. So you know, if you've read any of her stuff, you kind of know it's going to be some fun. And I see Agent 70 is actually going through my note here, my Transformers notes. But yeah, so the whole thing was starting off as like the Birds of Prey were trying to protect Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, because apparently someone was set to kill her in some future time, and we got future maps Mizuguchi that had come from the future to kind of help against that. But the birds and the Barbara fell into some trap or a portal, which was turned out to be a trap in this issue. In this portal, they have the things are kind of not what they seem, and also, you know, stacked against them, we do get shades of the person who may or may not be behind what's going on with them, but we only get like little tidbits of it. We got another fastball special this week in the form of Big Barda and Cassandra Cain. So that was amusing because, and the reason why it had to happen had to do with where they were. There was a Danny the Street reference, which is, while my DC knowledge is not great, that is one piece of knowledge that I know a little bit about for some stupid reason. So it's always fun when they bring up Danny the Street, because it's just one of the dumb DC things that has ever been. So, but like I said, good stuff. I think more people should be reading this volume of Birds of Prey because it's pretty good. Next book, I personally think is pretty good anyway. Next up is, as I said, we're going to do a little Free Comic Book Day reading, which, hey, got my physical copy here, like blah blah. But the Energon Universe 2024 special one shots. I'm not going to give the credits because there's a few of them, and I'm just being lazy, so forgive me for that one in this particular case. But we got 3 stories, and they're all kind of go back into their subsequent books. So the first one is Transformers, and we get to find out the whereabouts of a certain big bad guy, or of a certain bad guy, and where they've been, and why, as Agent 70 is just finding out a certain piece of them is not with them. Put it that way. That's kind of spoilery, but kind of not, because you still might want to check it out. And as I told Agent 70, some of it kind of takes some beats from the Transformers movie, which in one way is still scarring, but also kind of amusing, because yeah, they just really don't care about some of these characters, huh? And the second story has to do with Void Rivals, which is, you know, the book that pretty much started off the Energon universe, and you know is in the shared universe with Transformers and GI Joe. And of course, the first thing we see are a couple of minor characters in the Transformers universe from season 3, including one who was formerly a Prime. And yes, I did call them a minor character because wasn't for him anyway. But there's something there that is probably going to play into um the Void Rivals part of the universe coming up, of which, from based on the last issue that I read, wasn't a factor just yet. And the third story is, of course, GI Joe, and having the Duke miniseries just finish up, and Cobra Commander is about to finish up, and the GI Joe book properly is going to start fairly soon. This is still kind of leading into that. After, you know, after what happens at the end of the Duke miniseries, and a certain recruitment play that he wants to make, and he gives his reasons why, which I'm feeling like, okay, I see his reasonings, but I'm also seeing, yeah, I can see that not going quite well. But we also see some other machinations in a way, in the form of one General Hawk using newly introduced Flinton Lady J, and the proposal of another team that Duke doesn't know about. And I thought to myself, a special missions team, maybe, possibly, which seems more likely than not. But, you know, you have to read that to see what's the case again. Oh, in that first book, there was a certain fight between some crossovers from GI Joe and the Transformers that I never thought I would actually see anywhere. But there you go. And that was quite interesting in itself, especially in relation to this whole Energon universe. And last book for myself is the Free Comic Book Day. Actually, technically I've read more than this one, but this is the only one I'm putting on here because I did read like the Bloodhound X-Men and the couple other ones, but I'm only putting this one on for some odd reason. But there was the Spider-Man and Ultimate Universe Free Comic Book Day, which, by the way, I will go ahead and say, if you have access to Marvel Universe, all of the Marvel Free Comic Book Days for the book day books are up. It is apparent that you cannot read them if you're not a member of Marvel Unlimited, because I tried while I was not signed in, and it was not the case, sadly. So yeah, it looks to be that you will have to be a Marvel Unlimited member. But nevertheless, I'm trying to find the cover for this thing, and I don't think I might. So we have to end up going from there. Apologies, folks. Yeah, I don't see it, so I thought I pulled it, but regardless, what happens? Yeah, so the first story was from Amazing Spider-Man, and actually, I'm kind of glad, as I told Agent 70, that I did read 47, 48, and 49 in a way, because it was footnoted in one of those two books, in 47 and 48, that this was going to happen. So there was that. But we find Peter out on another date with his that's not seemed to be going on, and they're at a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese, and of course things happen. And what we find out at the end of this issue is that goes back into, you know, into Amazing Spider-Man from those two issues to something that happened, and we see why that something happened, and we may see, and there's also something that is leading up to 50. I'll just leave it at that, because we kind of know already what's going to happen in 50, but no, this is just a little bit more info on that, on one part of that. And something we saw that was coming for since a minute now anyway. And the second part of the story is from the Ultimate Universe at Large, which is actually the Ultimates, which is a book that is coming up soonish. I believe it starts in July. And we see one Captain America, Doctor Doom, and Iron Lad in a certain facility that I guess is either owned by a certain group or just being called the name of a certain group that would normally be fixing up scenes that get destroyed, but they're on the hunt looking for a new teammate or a new / old teammate. And that I guess is going to lead into Ultimates #1 proper when that happens. And that, folks, is it for myself. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
So I can just go ahead and say that Fantastic Four, I've already said it, but Fantastic Four 20 and Birds of Prey, 2 potential Kliqs of the week for myself. Transformers 8 still, you know, a pretty great book personally for me.
Sure. I enjoyed Avengers #14 because of the inner monologue stuff from all the characters, not just Cap, but I thought that the Cap stuff was very well written. I definitely enjoyed Daredevil #9 because I like the direction that Saladin Ahmed is going in. Doctor Strange #15 was such a strong issue.
Yes.
I feel like it's key. It's absolutely key to figuring out what direction Blood Hunt is actually going to go into. And I did like Transformers #8, but it's buoyed by the experience of having read the first 7 issues just
so
before,
fast.
like just immediately before.
Right.
So I think what I'm going to do is choose Doctor Strange #15 as my Kliq of the week. Surprise, surprise, over Daredevil #9. I really liked the twist that McKay put in. I like that there is understanding of what Clea's character is in this. I really did enjoy how she's written in this because she has to figure out what to do. And I definitely, I'm liking the expansion and the exploration of her character, obviously, because she's going to appear in the MCU. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And Jed McKay having, expanded on her in the past with that Strange book that she, that she was
right.
that she was featured in. And yeah, because of those reasonings. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised about that. Well, not surprised by that, but I was like, okay, I like how they handled that because it makes a lot of sense. So it's like, well, if you got vampires in place, so there's going to be some, somebody who's going to be on top of that. So you got to do something to kind of keep them occupied. And this book kind of put that out there. I'm like, that was some pretty good writing there. That being said, I think I'm just going to go with, it's kind of hard. Like I said, it's like Fantastic Four, Birds of Prey, Transformers, good, great stuff. But I think actually I'm going to go with Fantastic Four 20 because I enjoyed that book. Even after everything I've read, that was equally as good or just as good, as you say. But I, for some strange reason, this issue and last issue, I guess, also because like we've repeatedly said Fantastic Four has been Ryan North's been doing some pretty cool stuff with Fantastic Four so far, and it's been continuing to be the case. And I've been enjoying it. And I probably wouldn't have put the free comic book based stuff in the running anyway, but hey, you know what? You should check that stuff out if you've had the chance. Before we go into the news and the ad real quick, catch up on stuff here. Sorry. I think he was clearly joking, but Von Gloom that did Mad Murdock tearfully proclaim, "I have sinned," like the televangelist Jimmy Swaggart. Which was
but he definitely has a bit of a confessional moment So it's definitely worth a read.
Which is funny because I know there's only, you have to be a certain vintage to know who even Jimmy Swaggart is.
Right.
So that's what was funny to me. But you could have added Tammy Faye in that also, but still. But anyway, I hope Johnny shaves that damn porn stash. That's the funny part is I kind of wonder if that's not going to happen given what got brought up.
They made a reference to it.
Right. So I would kind of wonder if that's not going to happen shortly because of what was said in the book in this issue. And also it says that I think Blood Hut might sunk. Also, boo. Leaves more eggs and tomatoes get thrown at me. Boo. But it's bound to happen. And with that, folks, we're going to go into the news section. But first, an ad read.
All right, our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, that's cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. Now we get into the news.
I'm sorry. Before we get into the news, real quick, chat. If anybody's out there in chat and partook of Free Comic Book Day, throw what you got in the chat since we are.
Yeah, let us know what you picked up. Let us know if you picked up anything cool that was on sale. Because oftentimes comic book shops will have additional things at a discount to get people to come in,
right,
and to spend additional money.
Right. I think we kind of we might have talked a little bit about it. I can't remember if we talked about it on the last show, but but I will show this again, and I know if anybody came across it,
I'm so jealous. Roddykat got the Gotcha Man book.
I had to, just like I told Agent 70. It was like if I got any book from Free Comic Book Day, it had to be that one. I didn't get the Johnny Quest one, and I didn't get a couple of other ones that I actually wanted because my shop had a limit, but which sometimes happens, which sucks. But I got the Gotcha Man one. There's that. I got I got the Popeye one, which I hadn't read it yet, but I'm like, it caught my eye because of the person that wrote it and drew it. Marcus Williams, who is a name that I've come across here and there, and I've liked their art, and I think I even have a shirt from them from Heroes Con at one point. So I was curious as to what that was going to be. I didn't even know Popeye was going to even have a comic out, but apparently that's the case. And of course, the Energon Universe one, which we've already talked about, was from my Free Comic Book stuff. I did get some other stuff, but we already talked about stuff. So but
right.
Just
Right. I mean, I got the DC Absolute Power one. I got the Spidey Ultimates. I got the Energon Universe. So I'm going to be flipping through this to find out everything that Roddykat talked about. I did get the Blood Hunt issue. I got the Spidey and His Amazing Friends book.
Oh yeah.
I got the Barda. I guess it's the YA DC issue. I got the Boom box. This is the kids stuff from Boom, the 10th anniversary for Boom. And last but not least, I got the Street Fighter versus Final Fight book.
I'm kind of jealous of that one because I wanted that one also.
I really wanted that Gotcha Man one, and I was very disappointed that my local shop had run out of them when I got there. I went in on a Sunday. I went in the next day, the following day, and they were out. So,
you know what? I almost did that too because I had found out somehow that my shop was still continuing their sales until Sunday, and I should have almost went in there to see if they actually had any more books left. I kind of doubt it, but right. I should have.
Right. I mean, I went in on a Sunday because that's almost my regular day. I end up going in there after volleyball, so on my way home from volleyball. So
Right.
That's when it's easiest for me to pick up my books. So, but in any event, we can move on to the news.
Yes, cinematic news, as we do about this time. The Fantastic Four movie. Speaking of, we have a person named Paul Walter Hauser who apparently has joined the cast, according to Deadline. Hauser's role in the film has been being, of course, kept on the wraps, as many roles have been. But we already know who is already going to be in the main cast. According to this, because this name is not a person that I know of, but some of you may know, as say his biggest role came in the Apple TV Plus true crime drama series Blackbird. So the one or two of you have actually seen that.
Ooh.
Exactly, where he played convicted serial killer and rapist Larry Hall, and he won an award for that. So, sure, there you go. Next up.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Do you have this more recent news?
Of what?
There's more whatchamacallit? There's more FF casting news.
Probably not, unless it's something we might have already talked about.
Huh. No, this came out today.
Then no. Oh, here, I'll put it up. I think I see the one you're talking about.
There's two of them. There's two stories.
Okay. Well, one I just saw was that apparently they have Galactus as cast.
Right.
In the form of Ralph Ineson. So apparently, according to this, he's a British actor who is 3 decades long career, Harry Potter, and The First Omen being part of that. And yeah. So what's the other one? So because that's the only one.
Apparently, Teddy KGB has joined the cast of Marvel's The Fantastic Four. Per Deadline, John Malkovich will play an undisclosed role in Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four.
There we go. I just saw that one. Wait, Teddy KGB.
From Rounders. That's the character that John Malkovich played.
Oh. I couldn't, like, we talked about Rounders before. I was like, it's been so long since I remember, I couldn't tell you whose name is what. So John Malkovich is a name a lot of people know, though, so that's not, it's nothing against him. But okay, so they got John Malkovich, which probably is not that big a surprise at this point, I guess. I don't know what that says, but hey, that's going to be interesting.
Right, that's an interesting mix now. That's definitely an interesting mix.
I would have expected him in a Thor movie, honestly, but yeah. So yeah, those will be in the show notes. If you happen to come across it. So these are breaking news, folks.
Yeah, like from today.
Yeah.
So next up, following X-Men 97 success, the voice actor behind Peter Parker in the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s, Christopher Daniel Barnes, responds to support for a Spider-Man 98 revival. Apparently, a lot of fans want this. So, you know what? He says, I wanted to say thanks for all the positivity and support. Unfortunately, I haven't been contacted by anyone regarding this possibility, and he has no current connections to the X-Men 97 show. But hey, let's remember Stan Lee and remain true believers. Okay.
Honestly, when spoiler alert, when Spidey showed up on X-Men 97, I didn't expect there to be a speaking part, but I kind of wanted it, and I could have wanted it to be him. If that was the case.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
next up, Star Wars: The Skeleton Crew uses stop motion by Phil Tippett and old school matte paintings. So Phil Tippett is a name that folks will probably know from the original series, if I'm not mistaken, because he did a lot of work there. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember. But yeah, it says here, Tippett made a significant impact with his work on the original Star Wars trilogy, especially his development on the motion control technology used for the AT-ATs in Empire Strikes Back, and also did some stuff with Jurassic Park. So Park, excuse me, Jurassic Pike is a different thing. So, yeah, we still don't know that much more about Skeleton Crew, but hey, this is will probably warm some long-time Star Wars fans' hearts in whatever way the stop motion is going to be used. Next up,
Darkness Rises in the Acolyte final trailer and key art. You can watch the final trailer and see the official poster for the Disney Plus series as of May the 4th. So I watched this. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this. It's just something new and intriguing.
Yeah, I watched that trailer and part of me was like, is this Crouching Tiger, Hidden Jedi? Because that's kind of what it feels like. But also we're getting Han, not Solo, not that Solo. We're getting Han.
It is Solo, but it's a different spelling.
Right. We're getting Han from Fast and Furious as a Jedi, but also we're getting Jodie Turner, which I think she dropped the Smith. I can't remember. So that's going to be some good stuff, as well as, you know, of course we got Trinity and
yeah, I was about to say, like, we're getting Trinity as a Jedi.
Yes. So that's, like I said, this, if anything, this show is going to be good to see. At the very least, we still don't know a whole lot about it outside of where it's set and, you know, what seems to be on the periphery of it. So I'm looking forward to this though. And yeah, that trailer was good. If you hadn't checked it out, you should. So yeah, Jurassic Park pipes would definitely be a different film on late night cable. You're right. Oh
no.
Next up. Oh, what does that mean? The Boys season. Actually, I'm going to take this. No, I'm not. I'm just going to take this one. Never mind. I thought the next one was connected. The Boys season 4 trailer, Fights for the Soul of America. I did not watch this trailer, but yeah, we know that The Boys season 4 is coming. And for those who are caught up with it, I'm sure we'll be happy about it. Oh yeah, X-23 as a Jedi, correct? Because I think somebody, one of the people behind the Acolyte said that's what they wanted to see. You're right, Banglum.
Right.
So yeah, Boys
Stephanie
season 4.
Keane, right?
Yes, I still have yet to see the Wolverine. So, do we know when season 4 is happening? Do we have a date? June 14th. There we go.
Yeah, it's soon.
Yeah. Cool. Next up.
The Blade Runner series in the works at Amazon Prime Video has cast Michelle Yeoh in a lead role, as reported by Variety. The series, titled Blade Runner 2099, was ordered at Amazon in September 22. It serves as a sequel to both the original Blade Runner film and the follow-up film Blade Runner 2049. Exact plot details are being kept under wraps, but sources say Yeoh will play a character named Olwen, described as a replicant near the end of her life.
Oh no, is she going to be retired? Oh no. But hey, we love some Michelle Yeoh around here. I do like me some Blade Runner, so I'm looking forward to this. For that in itself. Next up, James Gunn might have revealed the secret villain in the Superman movie, and I have no idea who the heck this thing is. Apparently Solaris, the Tyrant's son, may or may not be the villain.
Apparently from All-Star Superman, which I read and do not remember.
I have not read it, but I have it. So, but yes, as Agent 70 said, yes, it is in here. There was something else I was going to say, but there was something else that I didn't get. There was a shot going around that people have been going amusingly ham with, showing whatever dude's name who's playing Superman, David Cornsweet.
Right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it says it here, putting on a boot. Oh wait, yeah, here it is. It's in here. Or part of the image is in here. Of him putting on the boot, and apparently people have been taking that image and just doing other things with it, as the internet wants to do. So, isn't the plot going to be humans versus replicants like other films? Probably, I'm not sure. Von Gloom. The Tyrant's son makes sense since it's based off of Morrison's ASS. Psst, yes. And yes, that does stand for All Star Superman. And although someone would also probably call it as, I don't know, but I hear good things about. I don't think anybody's talked bad about All Star Superman, so I shouldn't say that. That when it's spoken. Anyway, next up.
A Disney, Hulu, and Max streaming bundle is on the way, according to The Verge. So Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery are teaming up to offer Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max in a bundle that will become available in the US this summer. The new bundle will include both ad-supported and ad-free options, but there's still no word on how much it's going to cost. Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery say they will share, quote, additional details about the bundle in the coming months. Once available, you'll be able to purchase the bundle from Disney Plus, Hulu, or Max's website.
8 to 7 talked about, and I talked about this at some point in the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, if they're not going to do a yearly that's no ads, I'm just not, I don't care. And I can already get Max for technically kind of free with my phone bill, so
I already pay for it, so
right.
I pay for it with cable, so
right. Well, yes. So technically, you're getting that part kind of for free, but you're paying for cable. For what that's worth. What was I gonna say? Oh, I saw some comment out there. It's about form of cable bill.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, that's pretty much the size of it. Next up, though, yep, they're continuing to try this. Masters of the Universe release date set for live action He-Man movie. Let's hope it's better than the one we already got. That's all I'm going to say. Amazon MGM Studios, and I forgot that was a thing, has announced the release date, which is June 5th, 2026. In theaters, of course, per The Hollywood Reporter. According to the synopsis, the film follows, quote, 10-year-old Prince Adam who crashed to Earth in a spaceship and was separated from his magical power sword. They've already fucked up. The only link to his home on Eternia. First of all, Marlena, his mom, is from Earth. They're going the wrong way. Anyway, after tracking it down almost 2 decades later, Prince Adam is whisked back across space to defend his home planet against the evil forces of Skeletor. Oh, sorry, that was me. But to defeat such a powerful villain, Prince Adam must first need to uncover the mysteries of his past and become He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. End quote. Again, they feel like they still kind of fucked up with part of that, but too soon to tell. And I don't know. Got to see some visuals. Got to see some visuals. Did you ever watch that Masters of the Universe movie?
The live action?
Yeah.
From back in the day?
Yeah.
With Dolph Lundgren?
Yes. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Oh, you said no?
No.
Oh. See, this is well, technically we do have a Discord, but we don't officially have a Discord. I wish we had a Discord and we could just watch it like that. And I know your time is whatever it is, so you probably wouldn't be around for it, but just to pull up stuff like that and watch it. If that's on Prime, well, actually, I think they're stopping the Prime thing, so we couldn't do it on Twitch and even report to. I don't think, but that is something to see if you haven't seen it, and I have. So yeah, the streaming Ghidorah. What is the what does that mean? So let's see, will Max still exist with Zap's Law deleting show? We're not, unless we talk about him, whatever. They really screwed the pooch with the plot. A snarky edge, Earth-based Prince Adam. Yeah, again, there's part of that we probably don't know. So, maybe there's going to be more to it. I'm not holding out much hope for it, realistically. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they went the wrong way with that. For what we know now, which is not much. Anyway, next up.
Alrighty.
I'm kind of glad you got this one, but
super sad news, because as Roddykat and I alternate news stories, we can kind of figure out which ones we're going to take. And when I saw this, my heart sank.
Yeah.
The actor Bernard Hill, the actor behind Lord of the Rings' Theoden King, has died. The beloved British actor, also known for his appearance in Titanic, was 79. The BBC reports the news was confirmed by Hill's agent this past Sunday morning. Known closer to his home in the UK for a storied career in television, cinematically, people knew him for his faithful role as Captain Edward James Smith in Titanic. He'll be forever remembered by legions of fantasy fans for his turn as Theoden, King of Rohan in both The Two Towers and Return of the King. Yeah. That's come on, folks. Like when the Rohirrim gather on Pelennor Fields in Return of the King. When they do the charge to like break up. Oh my God, man, that's like one of the most the most stirring scenes you'll ever see. It's better than Aragorn's speech at the end. The last charge, for Frodo, right? Theoden's speech is better.
Can you tell Agent 70 is a big Lord of the Rings fan?
Big, definitely a fan.
Disney, Hulu, and Max, the three heads of Ghidorah. Oh, okay. I don't know. I feel like that's one of them, but that's fair. That is fair. But yeah, rest in peace, dear King. So yeah. Now we get over into the anime corner.
Alrighty.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait for that book. Anyway, anime's newest hit takes the Power Rangers and channels The Boys, and that is Go-Go Loser Ranger, which I haven't seen any yet. But apparently, according to this article, Go-Go Loser Ranger is like no other anime on the market today. Again, well, I can't say this is a Screen Rant article because it is not. Or perhaps no other anime that has ever existed, and that I would need to see this for myself because I feel like that's not true either. But you know what? This is comic book. We're gonna let them have it. But yeah, it says it takes Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and turns it on its head, according to this article. And it also says that thanks to the Divine Dragon Ranger secrets that they hold back from the public, the anime adaptation isn't just a play on the Sentai franchise, but also feels like a tribute to Homelander, The Seven, and the world of the boys. Again, that's according to this article. I have not seen any of this show yet, so I do not know. There was something I was going to say on an anime front, and I can't remember what it was. So until I do remember it, next up.
Speaking of Go-Go Loser Ranger, the anime is taking a quick break. It's just going to miss a week though. So episode 5 of the newly released anime Go-Go Loser Ranger is slated to launch on May 12th, which is, I guess, a week late.
Yeah. Oh, Von Gloom says it's goofy and surprisingly violent. So I guess there's the boys tie in that also, and the violence is unexpected. Like an Alan Moore scene. Oh, okay, cool. I will have to check it out. Netflix kickstarts May with several big anime releases. So you got some known stuff here. Starting on May 1st, which is already passed, of course. Netflix begins streaming nearly a dozen new anime titles, including the likes of Mob Psycho 100, all seasons, My Hero Academia, seasons 1 through 4, and the movie Yu Yu Hakusho, which I want to go back and revisit that one. One we've talked about previously that Agent 70 was real hyped up about. Haikyuu seasons 1 and 2 and OVAs, some One Piece stuff, Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen season 1 and 2 in a movie, Dr. Stone season 1, which I haven't seen. I believe that's pretty much the bulk of it. So yeah, some stuff out there. If you haven't been able to know Von Glum, we are not going to talk about that. that Jeffrey anime. silly. Next up,
One Punch Man Season 3 anime powers up with Genos hero visual. So we're counting down the months until One Punch Man's long-awaited return. The series' official website and accounts are keeping energy high with the release of regular hero visuals. May's edition, which features Genos, illustrated by co-character designer Shinjiro Kuroda, was unveiled recently. Cool.
Yeah. I feel like I don't necessarily need to go back and watch One Punch Man, but it's been so long. I feel like maybe I probably should. And it's relatively short, but I doubt it's going to happen. So, like, I vaguely remember what happened at the end of that. It's like that seems kind of final, in a way, but I guess there is more they could do to it. Next up though, Blue Lock season 2 anime begins in October 2024. For fans of that. Let's see. And apparently this article also talks about there's a Blue Lock movie that is coming about, which I would think we may have also talked about. And apparently, well, yeah, there's some Haikyuu DNA as a part of this, so there you go. But yeah, apparently, according to the comments on this article, some people are very excited about Blue Lock. So which I guess is Haikyuu but soccer,
right?
Or Slam Dunk but soccer, you know, for older folks or whatever the case may be. But next up,
Studio Pierrot has been around the block more than a few times. Back in May 1979, the studio came to life under Yuji Nunokawa, and Pierrot has gone on to handle some major series in the industry. From Naruto to Bleach and Black Clover, Pierrot hardly needs any introduction. Thanks to a new report, we know the studio is opening a new branch that wants to emulate places like MAPPA Studios. Okay. All right, so let's see. Pierrot is opening a branch called Pierrot Films. All right.
Which, okay, sure. I mean, let's put it this way. MAPPA's kind of going through it because because of as much as they're pushing out and people are getting worked.
Right.
So let's hope it doesn't get that close to emulating MAPPA, but we know how that industry is. Next up we get into the manga corner, and we don't necessarily need a stinger here though, but the Magic the Gathering manga is set in the 90s and will come out in English at last, which I did not know, but I'm not surprised, I guess. And it says here that let's see, there's been plenty of Magic the Gathering comics. This is true, I read some of it, released in the West, including a free digital manga tie-in for the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set, which I did not know about. But first running into the series that has been serialized in monthly Shonen Ace since 2018 has remained Japan exclusive until now, or unless you know how to find that stuff, because there are ways. Viz Media is releasing those lush Magic the Gathering art books. Had released those Magic the Gathering art books. Has announced the first volume of Magic Manga Destroy All Humans. They Can't Be Regenerated. Will receive an official English language in fall 2024, which, by the way, Viz Media has also put some Marvel stuff on their site, some of their Marvel offerings on the site, including like I know Secret Reverse is on there. I think Star Wars Visions might be on there, and I know there's some other Marvel stuff that they have on there, so you can go check it out if you have access to Viz's online stuff. You probably have to pay for it, but yeah. So yeah, but according to this, Destroy All Humans is set in the multiverse of the card game and some other stuff we don't necessarily go into, but it's more slice of life story than something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what this article is saying. So that might be enough for some folks. Next up.
Oh no, we're transitioning over to Anime Corner.
Oh wait, actually, but yeah, before we do that, hang on, let me throw one more piece in here. Sorry. And then we'll do that. Attack on Titan creator says the manga's new one-shot is for the fans.
Yep.
So I didn't have a chance because I just saw this and I wanted to put this in the show notes. It says here, August things must come to an end, and that was certainly the case with Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan Bad Boy was released as a part of a new art book in Japan following Levi's earlier years in a story that Isayama made for the fans. I assume by your exclamation that you've read this already, or?
I'm not, but I know of it.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, it sounds like it focuses on Levi, and it says here that Isayama took the chance to tell new stories for one of the franchise's most popular characters, according to this article.
Definitely.
So yeah. Does it say when this is? Don't say anything about a date or anything, but hey, look out for that, folks, if it's not already out. All right, now we do the transition. Or technically, actually, no, we don't, because we're still in Manga Corner. So.
No, I just played Attack on Titan. Something.
Oh, go for it.
All right. The Gathering manga set in the 90s is going to come.
No. I already did that.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
How did you just do that?
Sorry, that was.
How did you just do that? You were talking about Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I did that prior to doing that.
Oh, silly. All right.
So the
Trigun and Trigun Maximum to receive deluxe edition hardcovers from Dark Horse. So, when is this coming out? So we're getting volumes 1 through 3. Let me open this article up to check on pricing. Chugga. Waiting for this article to load. All righty, let's see here. Scrolling. Each of the deluxe edition covers is priced at $49.99. The books feature foil stamped faux leather covers and ribbon bookmarks. Okay. Let's see. Volume 1 collects volumes 1 to 3, and that's going to be in bookstores on October 8th and comic shops on October 9th. Number 2 is going to come out on November 12th and 13th, respectively, and number 3 is going to come out December 10th and December 11th, respectively, in bookstores and comic shops. Wow, that's pretty cool. They already know exactly when they're shipping these.
Yep, and the price. The deluxe edition hardcovers are $59.99 double dollars. Not really, but yeah, that is what the price is. And apparently, according to this article, looks like they're all $59.99, but a couple of them looks like they got some sales on Amazon. So hey, if you like to use some Trigun.
Hey, wait. I thought it's $49.99. This article says $49.
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say 59?
59. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I meant 49. So my apologies if I did say that. Yeah. But yeah, they're all $49.99, and a couple of them got some sales on it. Some knockoff
all discounts over at sponsor Amazon.
Yeah, so that's cool. I never read the manga, but I definitely love some Trigun. So next up though, Bleach registers a mysterious new trademark. Could be for a film, could be for another video game. We don't know. And apparently this article doesn't either. Just kind of speculates on what it could be. But nevertheless, it is something. So when we find out a little bit more about what that might be, we'll let y'all know. Next up. Now we go over to the comic book news.
There we go.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Free Comic Book Day arrives at the U.S. Capitol thanks to Congressman Robert Garcia, the head of the Popular Arts Caucus, brought the annual event and, of course, some free comics to Capitol Hill this past Wednesday. Actually, no, it was last Wednesday because it was the Wednesday before Free Comic Book Day.
Right. That's the dude that got sworn in on the Superman. Is that him?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It would seem likely.
Yeah. But that's cool.
It would seem likely. But that's cool that that's something that popped up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, half of them folks wouldn't know what to do. Probably can't even read. Anyway, Well, they can read, just wonder. Anyway, we're not getting into that. Political. But that's cool this way. And again, I know we talked about this a while ago. Imagine being able to have to be able to get into the Library of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Stacks. Next up, though, the 1982 DC's Comic Style Guide is to be released as a hardcover. I saw this on Twitter, and it seemed like some people was making a big deal out of it, which I guess it is. And this site is definitely doing that. But comic artist Doc Shaner posted on Instagram on I guess some past Sunday that the publisher will be releasing the longer-awaited 1982 DC Comics Style Guide, featuring art by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, this August. So it says details are scarce, but the ad notes that this is a collaboration with Standards Manual. Beyond that, neither DC nor Standards Manual has put out any information such as exact release date or price. There's no online retail or catalog listings according to this article. And there's just a link on from Standards Manual that you can go join a waitlist on. So if that is an event any interest to you, that might be something to go check out. I know more of you art-focused folks like Age of 70 might be interested in this.
Sure.
So, but we know it's coming in August, so I would assume it's probably going to be, if not the same day, but probably maybe a couple of weeks behind those DC Marvel omnibuses. So, I'm kind of curious about it myself, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much it is. Next up, though,
DC's Absolute Power Free Comic Book Day special introduces the final piece of the puzzle for Amanda Waller's master plan against the former Justice League. Spoiler alert for one of the comics that was in my pile. So it's a preview of the first issue of the event and explains some of what's happening behind the scenes and introduces an all-new mystery box to be decoded almost literally. Okay.
So I told Agent 70 this, and I kind of mentioned the Marvel stuff earlier, but I forgot to mention this. Amazon also has a bunch of free comic book day books on their site. I can't call it Comixology anymore because that's dead. Right. But if you look up Free Comic Book Day 2024, you will see a list. And obviously it's Amazon, so there's probably going to be some other stuff pop up. But more than not, you will see those in there that if you got a Kindle account, you can add and get those there. Beware, there is a Flash Gordon book that looks to be for sale for $10. Do not get that because that's somebody selling that. And Free Comic Book Days books are free. So you shouldn't have to pay for it. But if you were looking to, if you didn't get some Free Comic Book Day books on that day, you can always go the digital route with, Marvel and Amazon. I don't know if DC, last I checked, DC did not have theirs up just yet, but we'll it might be, I don't know.
Next up, I see the DC, I see the Barda book, and I see the Absolute Power book.
On
so DC
on Amazon. On Amazon, right?
Yes, they are up on Amazon.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about from DC, like through their Marvel Unlimited type.
Oh, my apologies. I don't even use that. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't either. So which was proven when I tried to get on that site. So I don't know if they have them on there, and I didn't see just from the cursory site. Regardless, Amazon is out there for you, so yeah, a lot of that is out there. Batman and Catwoman's marriage. Apparently, Tom King had some plans for Batwoman and Catwoman to get married, which famously people railed against, and I think killed his run on the book and had to do it elsewhere, or had to do it on the side, I guess. But still, it happened. So, and I guess this article, it looks like he was asked at a WonderCon panel from last year about his original plans, and he told them, and he kind of spelled it out there. You can read this article from Popverse to get all of that. Or if you were there, you probably already know. Next up.
Alrighty. An underrated Marvel supervillain becomes a supernatural powerhouse. So,
Lightly.
I mean, I gotta open the article now.
Slightly hyperbolic, but you know, it was realistically it was a tool, but
yeah. I'm like scrolling. Okay. Oh, so it's about Blackout. Oh,
right.
okay. All right. So yeah, it's about what happens to Marcus Daniels, aka Blackout. Unfortunately, Blackout himself has no control over his powers, nor do any of the Marvel Universe's other Dark Force wielding villains. So yeah, definitely hyperbolic.
Right. And not from Screen Rant this time. Anyway, X-Men 97's prequel comic book collection up for pre-order at Amazon. So apparently, yeah, pre-orders of the physical edition of the Prelude X-Men 97 comic series, which is still kind of going at it because of at this point, is live for $16 ahead of its November 26th release, which I guess the first arc would be out by that time, which makes some sense. So it's dubbed X-Men 97. Wow, sounded like a maker just for a second. Great Expectations, written by Steve Fox, of course. So yeah, looks like, wait, what is this? Oh, it just goes into some other Amazon related stuff that I'm not going to get into. And they're calling it Comixology, which was not fair because it's dead. Next up,
X-Men is finally unleashing the ultimate form of a founding hero. So in X-Men Forever #2, wait, so this is spoilers for Dead X-Men #4, Rise of the Powers of X #4, and X-Men Forever #2, stuff that's still pretty recent, but we have talked about each of these issues recently. So, this is all about, possibly preparing for the return of the Phoenix.
Right. I mean, Dead X-Men and X-Men Forever being the older of the two, because yeah, Rise is probably the most recent of that trio that came out. And actually, I just finished reading Dead X-Men 4 not a couple of days ago, so it was good. I still haven't checked because you even asked me about it, that X-Men Forever stuff, which I think one came out this week.
Right.
And I said it's probably tied to it, which yeah, that's been confirmed.
I haven't read it yet, so
yeah, neither have I. So I think I read. Oh, take it back. I skimmed through the first issue. The next two I had not. So I guess and it's on the checklist. So I guess it's something to check out. But next up, Marvel's Mutant now have a secret hand signal. Learn to communicate with your fellow X-Men fans. Maybe don't do that. I don't know, because that's probably that hand signal is probably going to mean something different to other different people. But yeah, this is from the Free Comic Book Day book, in which kind of sort of helps sets up well, at least it partially preludes into the From the Ashes X-Men book. I think this is the regular X-Men book, adjectives list. So because that from when I remember reading that, I guess Jubilee's joining the team. So nevertheless, there is that. You can see, if you're watching the video version, what that hand signal is, or you can just read it in the Free Comic Book Day book. Next up.
All right. Speaking of the Free Comic Book Day special, the X-Men story reveals that Xavier's school has been twisted to X-Men's maybe not the greatest fear, but a big fear in Marvel's New Mutant era. So yeah, so the school at 1407 Grey Malkin Lane is now something very different, and that's what's teased here in this Free Comic Book Day story.
Yeah, and which is making me look forward to seeing what's going to be happening in that X-Men book, in the X-Men book proper, because, or actually in two of them, but the one specifically, I guess we can call that the main book at this point. I don't know, but yeah, I read this Free Comic Book Day book and I was like, okay, I'm curious. Also, some slight weird parallels to X-Men 97, weirdly enough, in
right.
little small ways, which is something.
Oh, I get that. I definitely sense that.
Yeah. Next up, though, Chris Claremont brings together Nightcrawler, Destiny, Mystique, and Rogue for a mutant family reunion in X-Men 700. I guess we're getting a peek at the story he's going to be doing for that. To end off the Krakoan era of the X-Men. As we already know, 700, it was X-Men 35, which is 700 in legacy numbering, and it's going to be oversized issue. Again, all of this we pretty much knew. But I guess one of the stories, if not, I guess the main story, whichever that's going to be, is going to be this family story. Those folk. Next up.
The X-Men are government sponsored again in the new X Factor series. Oh, we're going back to the 90s. So Marvel continues to reveal details of of the various new series launching out of its upcoming X-Men relaunch from the ashes. So this is a classic setup with the new X Factor series that is using the government-sponsored team angle that X Factor first used all the way back in 1991, when Marvel had a similar X-Men relaunch that saw the debut of a second X-Men series and New Mutants became X-Force. Oh, the 90s.
Look at that Greg Land art. Yeah, baby.
I was going to try to get away from that.
I love it.
It's just going to be the cover, thankfully. No.
I just like messing with them about that. But yeah, definitely are going back to the 90s with that whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll check it out at the very least. After 6 years, Marvel finally answers a major Infinity Stone mystery. I'm not sure if that's the case. Wait, was this? But basically, Thanos makes another Infinity Stone. It's death. No surprise, especially if you've read that Thanos book. But it appears in the upcoming Incredible Hulk annual that is coming out August 28th. There's going to be a new Infinity Watch saga, which will take place across Marvel's 2024 annuals. And that is going to start June 26th with Thanos annual. But it is not until we get to the aforementioned Incredible Hulk annual is when fans will finally meet the bearer of the Mind Stone, the super being known as the World Mind. We would assume that Thanos is probably the one who already has the Death Stone. So, go figure. Also, World Mind? Like, are we not reusing stuff that's already had a thing in the past? But anyway, there's a checklist here of the annuals that this Infinity Watch thing is going to be going through. A couple of which they are really pushing because it's Thanos, Amazing Spider-Man, Immortal Thor, Miss Marvel, Wolverine, Incredible Hulk, Moon Knight, Spider-Boy, and Avengers. So,
well, we did just see Star in the Spider-Woman book.
It's true. So yeah, that's going to be the thing. We may or may not be checking it out. We'll see. Next up.
Anyway. We get a first look at the IDW comic book relaunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is written, I believe, by Jason Aaron, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is from the Hollywood Reporter. And I'm opening up the... All right. So this is, it's hoping to take the half-shell heroes back to their gritty and action-packed roots. Okay.
Yeah, apparently, if you're watching the video version, you can see me scrolling through some of the pages, which... there's one of them goes to jail, I guess.
Apparently,
yeah. You can. I was about to say you can prove. Oh, that's right, because I do remember Raphael's is the first issue. And I was about to say, you know what? Not surprising which one of them ends up in jail and not thrown through a skylight this time. So yeah, I don't know. Might check it out, might not. Who knows? Next up, though, speaking of turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kills off, according to this slightly hyperbolic article from Screen Rant. I really need to stop using. Kills off a major turtle sibling in the end of an era sacrifice. Spoiler alert, is not one of the main turtles. I'll put it that way. Yeah. But a side turtle, one of which who not that long ago ended up back in this book officially. Well, ended up in this book officially after only being seen in a little like live action show from the 90s. I feel like that should tell you enough right there if you are savvy. And apparently this turtle and Donatello has been traveling through time. So yeah, there you go. Next up.
Power Rangers debuts new Green Ranger honoring Tommy Oliver's memory. So this is in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Return, issue number 3. Olivia Hart, daughter of original Power Rangers power couple Tommy and Kimberly, finally fulfills her father's dying wish by becoming the Green Ranger. Okay.
Right. I was wondering what I need to actually catch up to that, because yeah, they've done a couple of things in that book. But I'm not sure is within canon of the rest of the books. But anyway. A Power Ranger super team gets derailed in first look. And this is a preview for the upcoming Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 120. Jeez. I didn't know there had been that many books. Actually, I did know, but so let's see. It says here that the Solar Rangers, and they talk about the last event, Darkest Hour, which I have lost the thread on those books since that first event, and that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 120 is going to go on sale May 22nd, and yeah, things. Next up.
All right. Transformers movie masterpiece Optimus Prime rolls out from Hasbro. So this is from the Transformers Bumblebee movie. So that is what inspires this particular Transformers movie masterpiece series figure, MPM-12 Optimus Prime. Okay, take a look at these photos as Roddykat scrolls through this page.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a bad figure. The fact that it's coming from the movie, I'm good. And there are already masterpiece OG Optimus Primes out there that you can get, and these things are too pricey, unless you just got more money in a sense.
Yeah, this is priced at $119.
Mm-hmm.
You can order. You can pre-order now. It's going to come in September of 2024.
Have at it. Pre-order launch for Ghostbusters 40th Anniversary Ecto 1 license plate coin with Ghost Trap collector's box. That's a lot. Actually, there was a couple of popcorn bucket news that I forgot to put in there, but I'm sure Agent 70 is thanking me for that. But in a continued effort to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the original Ghostbusters film, for 40 years, good God. The fourth in a series of themed collector's coins unexpectedly went up to pre-order, creating the very much retro-style New York City Ecto 1 license plate. If you're watching the video version, you can see said plate and said trap for yourself. And let's see. Previously advertised to be limited to up to 3 unique designs, among them the No Ghost logo, the staple of Marshmallow Man, and most recently the famed tricked out Cadillac Mirror Meteor Hearse. The unveiling comes as a surprise amongst collectors, and then it just goes through how it's made, which we don't necessarily need to go through that. And the coin's limited to 750 pieces worldwide. Pre-orders are available now, and let's see. Average cost gets pushed in between $250 and $350. $150, by the way. Anyway, next up.
All right, so this website has a smattering of in-hand images of the upcoming generation's comic book version of Leader Class Grimlock. Uh, so there are some in-hand images out there. These photos show a nice comparison with the Studio Series 86 version. Okay.
Yeah, looks pretty good. And I have said before, I finally kind of sort of got the different the different levels of these transforming figures, but we'll do that some other time. Last but not least, it's really not that much to it. It's just granular. Marvel Studios and ILM Immersive announces What If, an immersive story coming exclusively to Apple Vision Pro, so no one's going to probably partake of it. When it gets to MetaQuest or Steam, whatever, then hey, maybe. But it says here that it's the first ever interactive Disney Plus original story. Fans will be invited to step inside the multiverse like never before. What If reimagines events from across the MCU in unexpected ways. Now fans have been chosen to step into the leading role of an all-new immersive story that transforms the space around them as they traverse across realities. If anything I just said didn't let you know that it was virtual reality, I'm letting you know right now. Also Infinity Stones. So I guess you're going to be gathering up those. So cool, but yeah. And that, folks, is it for the news section. Can we get one last ad read?
All right. Help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. That helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that is it for this show. Appreciate you for being out. If you were out, if you came out as we were recording this, or if you came by here, after the fact, whether or by video or audio form, which by audio form you might again have 2 back-to-back shows. So cool for you if you are so inclined to that. We will be back next week, probably not on Thursday. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. My schedule is rearing its ugly head one more time next week. So we will be recording probably on Friday.
Yes. So, but stay tuned to our socials for that, which are as follows. You can follow me, Roddykat, at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News and It's Neat on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and that little thing called Threads. Sure, why not? PC_Dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet on Twitter, PopCultureNetwork.com is all umbrella sites they're in.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, okay, there we go. And yeah, I've been kind of, that's fine. You got it. You're there. Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, The Kliq Nation on Twitter, CB Chron on Twitter, which is Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, TheKliqNation.com. And of course, he is over at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off. You could find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
And that's Cold Slither, like the G.I. Joe show, which you can see on YouTube because it's out there. And not SZA, the singer. But brand don't do wish. But anywho's, ESPN.us, like I said, he said do it today. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and give us 5-star positive reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because it will help people find our show.
And Google Podcasts is not a thing anymore, but you know, it's just going to take me a second to wean that out. You can find us recording normally every Thursday night, 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation. I hit my head on the microphone. Thank you. And twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you know when we're on live.
Didn't hear booping myself on live recordings. That's not cool. Yeah, folks, like I said, we'll be back on Friday. We'll let you know. And hey, I will be actually doing some more streaming that is not Comic Book Chronicles on this on the Twitch channel. So, you know, get your notifications locked on that. As I get some things together, and we do that. It's gonna be fun. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Almost over, y'all. I really stand. Lights out.